Welcome back into another episode of the Stamped Wright NBA Draft Podcast. As always, I'm joined by Killian Wright. We're under a week, little under a week or a couple weeks, I guess, out from the conclusion of the NBA draft. We had plenty of fireworks, and now we are in the midst of NBA free agency, which we'll get to here in a quick second. Killian, how are you doing? Do you have any? We're like I said, we're a little bit removed from the draft here. Do you have any thoughts now about what went down and anything that any opinions that have changed or anything like that you'd like to share with us at all?
Yeah, I would say opinions have changed. I tweeted out like a draft grade thing within I think an hour after the draft ending or maybe the next day. No, this was the night of round two. Opinions have definitely changed. I'll say exactly what later, but like once you get time, and especially after you kind of see what teams are doing in free agency. Not that like free agency can completely like offset a draft grade, but it does make some picks either more confusing or make more sense. If you know what I mean. Like I'll list some examples later, but there's always some teams who like just don't know what the fuck they're doing, and it just makes it weird.
Yeah, I completely agree, and a lot of what what we're going to talk about is based off the same thing as what some of these teams have done, and either looking stupid or looking great. So for this episode, we're going to be running down pretty simple stuff. We're going to be running down our draft grades for each team, go all the way down the line and share our thoughts in that order. Before we do that, though, Killian, I want to hear your opinion. We are free agency opened on Monday night.
Yeah.
Right? 6 p.m., 5 p.m. Do you have a favorite move so far, whether it's a trade or a signing that stands out to you? I mean, if you need to think about it, I'll be happy to go first because I know mine right off the bat. But if you have one, I'm excited to hear it.
Yeah, you go first.
I mean, mine by far is the Cam Johnson trade. I mean, everything about what Denver's doing this offseason. I guess not this offseason, but in free agency has been pretty damn good. Just really doing everything they can to surround Nikola Jokic with players that he's gonna thrive off of. But when Cam Johnson just does what Michael Porter Jr. does, but like 10 times better. And I also just think he's a much better culture fit. I think it was pretty evident that MPJ was out the window. So it's not surprising that there was a move there, but culture wise, and I think Cam Johnson's obviously a better defender. So good deal for Denver. Brooklyn is still in the what the fuck are we doing phase of their offseason where it just keeps getting.
They've always been in that for like 15 years now.
I mean, it's going to be one of those teams. I feel like, for the longest time, like recently, like Charlotte was in that kind of category. It's like they're so bad that they're kind of fun to watch. It's just like street ball. And like Brooklyn might actually be like a level below that. But I have this feeling that they're still going to be fun to watch because of how bad they are. Like it's going to be funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't think, they're still making moves. I would imagine, and I can't remember off the top of my head if they've done anything else. But I feel like they have, so I don't know. But that's
they got Terrence Mann and the Kristaps shenanigans.
Okay, I don't care.
I think they got a pick for taking him.
I don't really care about that, but definitely, favorite move so far would be the Cam Johnson deal. Yeah. They re-signed Daron Sharp and Zaire Williams, which I
like Sharp.
Yeah, I was going to say, admittedly, I didn't watch much Brooklyn Nets basketball last season, but I was reading some stats and analytics, and it seems like that's a guy who could be pretty sound, especially if Claxton is gone. Give him the reins to the center spot, so that could be interesting.
I was kind of thinking the Lakers would go after Sharp because the Lakers always get like 2 or 3 guys every offseason where it's like a younger guy. It's like, whoa, how did they get him on this like prove it deal? Like Laravia, basically.
Yeah. Can we talk about the Lakers for a second?
Yeah.
And what they're going to do with the center position? Because it's so interesting now. And some of the names that are popping up, in my opinion, like.
Welcome back, Jackson Hayes.
No. I mean, I can't remember the list of names that I saw, but I remember Robert Williams was on that list.
Yeah.
Eve Meesey was on that list. Nick Richards was on that list.
Which I texted you about this the other day. The Pelicans, like the Eve Meesey thing is a little confusing. Like, because I mean, he was pretty good last year. We talked about this before the draft in regards to like why would they draft Malawak, and now it's kind of why do they have Queen? I was under the assumption at least that drafting Queen, and also signing Looney meant that like they thought Queen was more of a 4, and that you could go Meesey, Queen, Zion, which is like, my God, I don't know what to think of it, but Joe Dumars is an old guy. He probably operates with an old traditional mindset. He might think that's what works. I don't know.
Yeah,
you were saying.
I don't know what they're doing, but Eve Meesey would be a pretty nice get for them. You would think, right? I mean, another young setter. I mean,
he's just lively 2.0. Yeah.
Yeah. No complaints there. Did you have? I've been talking, but have you processed your favorite free agency signing so far?
I think Denver's got to be up there. Like obviously the Cam Johnson move. I think I saw something that, like, I mean, as good of a fit as MPJ was next to Jokic, he was basically useless without him. I mean, like, he can't function without Jokic on the court. He shot like 30% from 3. So I think going from Cam Johnson, who's now played both sides, where he was the kind of super role player in Phoenix next to a distributor like Chris Paul, who's honestly, you could make the argument Jokic is even better now as a distributor than Chris Paul was that year. I think that's a pretty easy argument to make. But so Cam Johnson has played that role, and he's also played the on-ball creator role in Brooklyn the last 2 years. I think that's pretty good. Denver's a little scary. I don't really understand the Valanciunas thing. He kind of sucks, but Tim Hardaway and Bruce Brown are great. That's good stuff from them. MPJ in Brooklyn is like you said, like, I don't know what they're doing. I think Brooklyn is like, you kind of touched on it earlier, but I feel like in the past 5 to 6 years, bad teams aren't as bad as they used to be just because the league is better, where it's like even the worst teams in the league, like the Jazz had Lauri Markkanen, who made an all-star team 2 years ago, Walker Kessler, who's an all-defense caliber guy. They've got young guys like Sensabaugh, and they did have Clarkson and Sexton and John Collins. Like, that's not terrible, but it just doesn't stack up to the rest of the league. I think this Nets squad next year is like stacking up to like be bad, like very bad. I mean, on opening night, their starting lineup right now is looking like Yegor, Terrence Mann, MPJ, Noah Clowney, Nick Claxton. And Nick Claxton is like 99% gone. And I wouldn't be surprised if Terrence Mann and MPJ, one of those guys just didn't play. So then that shifts to like Keon Johnson / Daron Sharp / Zaire Williams. Stinky. MPJ is like the long lost member of the Yo podcast, and he's gonna go stink it up there in Brooklyn now. I don't know what exactly they're going for.
You know what? Can I just say really quick that Brooklyn has some of like my favorite like average or like bad young basketball players.
Yeah.
Like Tosan Avoman, that Princeton guy.
Is he still there, or is he in?
I think so.
Yeah.
They have Tyrese Martin. They have Jalen Wilson as well. I mean, it's Noah Clowney. I love Noah Clowney. Like Reese Beekman's probably.
He should actually be good. I said Noah Clowney like I was dogging on him. I think he's fine.
Yeah.
He's just like not a starter. Yeah.
And I honestly think Tyrese Martin is fine. And like oh my God, bro, Drew Timme could probably play significant minutes on that team. It's
God.
bad. It's bad, but like this might be like college basketball fans like dream team.
This is like the people who clamor like why isn't RJ Davis a lottery pick like 2 years ago? Like RJ Davis will get minutes in Brooklyn at some point or another.
Yeah.
He's not even on the team. He'll make his way there.
I'm sure he will. All right. Well,
favorite move, I guess, real quick. I'll say like disregarding everything else they did this offseason with re-signing Trent, Prince, KPJ, letting Ryan Rollins go. I like Miles Turner to the Bucks. I think it was great value, and I think he's like the perfect center next to Giannis, like even a better option than Brolo. So good stuff there. I think that's been needing to happen for a while, and shame on Indy for letting it happen.
Yeah, I don't know how that's appalling that he's not a Pacer.
If I said that it's like Miles Turner was in trade rumors for 8 years, and then the second he's not, he leaves. Like they kind of nailed it.
Yeah, it's not even like I don't know. It's not like a league shifting move, but it is so shocking because that's a guy that's been so important to them and was so important during this finals run. If I'm a Pacers fan, I'm fucking pissed.
Yeah.
Like no Halliburton. He's out for the whole year, right?
Yeah.
Or at least most of it, and then Turner's gone. Like I don't even. That's like insufferably bad. You're gonna go from being nearly winning the NBA Finals to there's going to be some drop off there, basically. So that sucks for them. And I think, the Pacers kind of became of some sorts a sweetheart of the NBA after this playoff run. So I enjoyed watching them thoroughly throughout the whole playoffs. It sucks that this is happening to them. They don't deserve it. But at the same time, if the front office is going to do dumb shit, like not doing whatever you can to bring back Miles Turner, then, it is what it is. So I'm sure we're going to get more exciting stuff by the time we do our next episode here. I am crossing my fingers that the Bulls just drop a nuclear bomb on their roster and just keep, doing stupid shit because I just I want new faces at this point, even though I love Kobe, but if he wants to go, let's just mix it up and see if he can, win another way. Like Vooch can go. There's a lot of the Kuminga sign and trade rumors. I don't know how he fits with Pat Will and now Noah, but
get Pat Will off the team, bro. He's taking up minutes. Get him away.
He can go to China. That's fine with me. I'll pay we can pay the contract. He doesn't don't pay.
You'll personally pay it?
I'll pay it. Yeah,
solid.
Like a 100-year loan.
Yeah, like the Bucks with Damian Lillard.
Yes, exactly. And that is another one that is. I think it was kind of surprising to me, but makes sense. I don't know. People aren't going to love that, but that'll be an interesting thing to follow. All right, let's get into this. We're grading every team's NBA draft from the 2025 draft. Let's hop right into it with the Atlanta Hawks. And Killian, I'm going to pass it to you first for the Hawks. Let's see what you have. They took Asa Newell. They acquired him via trade. So Asa Newell with the 23rd overall pick, and then obviously some more fun stuff mixed in with that. So what do you have for the Atlanta Hawks?
I feel like they got to get an A+. I mean, they got their guy in Asa Newell, who they promised at 13 and then got him at 23. And then they get arguably one of the most valuable picks in the association next year in a Pelicans swap with the Bucks. I mean, the Pelicans are just like Zion isn't playing more than 50 games. And the rest of the team just is kind of has no identity. And the Pelicans just any year now are just kind of prone to being terrible just randomly. So that's that. And then the Bucks, they're one Giannis injury away from having Miles Turner as the number one option. So that's a pretty good pick. And to walk out of there with Asa Newell, who was their guy and kind of fits what they're doing over there. He's pretty mobile. He can play alongside. I think he can play alongside Kristaps and Okongwu, and without either of them. I think he can also play probably 10, 12 minutes by himself if he needs to. I think he's a really good mover. I think he can switch in space. I think he's pretty good in the dunker spot, and I think he's good enough above the rim to be a role man for Trey. So I kind of think they just got everything they need in Asa Newell and then got bonus points for the extra assets. So A+.
Yeah. I also gave him an A+ strictly because of the assets outside of Asa Newell. Asa Newell actually was not I think I was lower on him than consensus. So I thought about giving it an A, but the pick they acquired is just too good because New Orleans is going to suck. So yeah, great move from them. And again, in their eyes, this is an A+++ because Asa Newell was their guy. So in that sense, then I understand it. But yeah, I'm still going with an A+ strictly because of that pick. Like I said, Asa Newell, not my favorite player, but kind of hard to not overshadow that because that's something that can really impact their future. So good stuff from the Hawks. And if I'm not correct, not that this makes any sort of difference, but they did bring in Nickeil Alexander-Walker, correct?
And Luke Kennard.
And they add Kristaps Porzingis, obviously. So interesting offseason for them so far. The East is going to be a fascinating conference. That'll be fun to watch. Next up, Brooklyn Nets.
I'll
Yeah,
give.
I mean,
I don't know. I want to give him
I really want to give him an F as well. I didn't because that seems harsh, like extremely like just trying to be funny harsh.
It's pretty fun.
But it is pretty funny. But it's one of those things. It's like I'm gonna give an F. Like did they have the worst draft? Did they have the worst NBA draft? And
Yeah.
I think
Right. No.
I mean, maybe not. Maybe not. I think there's one other team that pushed that.
Okay.
And I think one reason I wouldn't give them an F as well is because they are walking away with 4 young players and Danny Wolf, I guess. And they're at this complete bottom of the barrel rebuilding stage where their roster is stripped, to the bone, and it sucks. It really, really sucks that you're going to force these guys to play right away and find ways for them to contribute right away, which I think potentially heightens their chance for success. Like they're not going to get, like they're going to have to find ways. They're going to find out pretty quick if they're an NBA player or not, which obviously the downside of that is, they get banished from the NBA and, never play a game again, which could very well happen based on some of the guys they picked. So I think the fact that they walked away with 5 young players, even if they were not the ones we would have picked, which like talent-wise, I think you could say it's an F. I'd be fine with that. Outside of Drake Powell, I think that's a pretty safely agreed upon pick there. But the fact that they have these young players that now that they have young talent to work with, even if it's not the young talent that the outside views as good, I think having that talent is good enough to not make it a horrible place for them to be in. Like they know they're going to be bad. They know where they stand. They take some, home run swings on some young guys, and they're going to try to make it work. So for that reason, I'm not going to give them an F.
I kind of think they deserve it just because it's not like they took 2 of these guys in the second round and got solid value. It's not like they had 5 first round picks and like kind of consensusly missed on 4. No, I guess I can't say missed, kind of consistently drafted wrong on 4 of them. That obviously we agree, and I think a lot of people also agree that Drake Powell was the good one there. But the fact that they had all these assets and still blew it, and then also drafted very redundantly with Serif, Traore, and Demon, I'm just not really sure what the thought process there was. Like, not only am I not big on either of those players, but like specifically them together doesn't really make sense to me. And also, they're setting up 3 point guards who can't really shoot very well, who kind of don't have the best rim pressure in the world and aren't the greatest defenders, with a lot of other guys around them who also can't shoot and defend. I'm not really too sure what the vision is. I posted this on Twitter and it got 0 likes, so I'll probably deactivate. But it was like a graphic of Demon, Traore, and Serif. It said all road, like all roads lead to Rome. It's like all roads lead to a Michael Porter Jr. contested 3. They're just gonna drive and kick for an MPJ brick like the entire game. And I get that it's short term, but they drafted all these projects with little room for them to kind of grow and work with. There's not really much there to help these guys succeed. And again, they're very redundant. I don't like it. I think it was one of the worst drafts of all time. If they had just made one other pick, I would have given him it. Drake Powell is cool, but just because they drafted 1 out of 5, I don't think I can raise that.
And I feel like also having Terrence Mann, who I would imagine they plan on giving playing time to, like if there's one rookie that you want to give the minutes to, it's Drake Powell, and he's going to have to sit behind MPJ and Terrence Mann and maybe others. I can't even think who the hell is on.
If Keon Johnson plays a second before Drake Powell does, I will shed tears. That would be terrible.
I mean, unless if there's a vision, if the vision is to make Igor Demon an off-ball guy, then maybe that's the plan, and maybe that's fine. that's gonna take a lot of work.
Yeah.
But maybe if that's the case, then maybe you can justify it. But there's plenty of reason to give this an F. I think immediate talent wise, it's one of the worst of all time. Also, they had 5 picks that maybe you compile a few of those to move back or get a player or more future draft capital if there's not guys you're in love with. I mean, it almost makes it worse if they took all 5 picks. Like, these are players that the front office really, really was enamored by, which is maybe even worse. So
they have a
Brooklyn,
YouTube thing out on called Scout where it goes through their whole pre-draft process. I'm
did they
going to
post
go
the
back
video?
and watch that because I need to know what was going on through their mind.
Yeah, I would love to know the same thing. Please get back to me on that. All right, next up is the Boston Celtics. I'm going to go first on this one. My initial reaction, I didn't like the Hugo Gonzalez pick, but I still am giving this a B minus. Hugo Gonzalez does not fit in the the window and situation this team is in right now, or at least I thought. But now that they're getting rid of some of these guys, like maybe there is a bit of a retooling / rebuilding. I also really like Amari Williams. We've talked about Amari Williams. Max Shulga is also a very, very good player, and I don't know if he's going to get to play at all, but that's definitely a guy that can step in and contribute right away. So I actually don't completely hate the guys they were able to bring in, and I think Hugo Gonzalez had such a weird draft process. So there's obviously, I think a lot of people know what his potential is, but Shulga and Williams are guys that can contribute quickly. And with the way the center position stands right now for the Boston Celtics, Amari Williams very well could earn a spot on this roster. And I would imagine they're going to sign someone. Well, they actually did, I guess. They signed Luka Garza, and they have Xavier Tillman. And they're not bringing back Al Horford.
They have Kata still.
Say that again?
They have Kata still.
So, I mean, yeah, there's a universe where he can make the roster. So, I don't know. That's going to be interesting to follow. What did you have for Boston here?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. B minus ish. I think Hugo's a nice swing on potential because they can kind of chill out this year and not push for a title. So maybe Hugo will be ready in 2027. And then I think Tillman's probably gone. They're probably cutting him. You kind of know what he is. But yeah. I think having the coaching staff been around Al Horford for a total of, I think, 3 years now in this second run. Hopefully they've learned enough from him where they can maybe teach Amari some of that stuff and have him be Horford-esque as a rotational center for them. So I think they did a good job. And then Shulga too, nice little swingman off the bench. Good stuff. They have contributors for next season, 2 seasons from now.
Yeah, and this is one where we can kind of start looking at their free agency moves and what they've done. And it's not anything super significant, but they've added, obviously, Anthony Simons and Georges Niang via trade, but Luka Garza and Josh Minot are both, on the younger side, and especially Minot. He's like, 22 years old? Like,
Minot's a good pickup.
Yeah, I mean, you put him into the Hugo Gonzalez category of you're throwing a swing on potential. So in hindsight, I think it's kind of nice that we get to do these grades now a couple days into free agency. And I mean, I'll have to make sure I upload this quick so we don't miss out on too many other moves. So we don't have to change our opinions. But in hindsight,
you heard it here first, dude.
To where?
Cleveland,
Oklahoma City Thunder for 15 draft picks
for Ousmane Dieng.
Yeah. RIP to Dylan Jones, by the way. That's sad. Dylan Jones.
He didn't die, but he's in Washington.
No, he's alive, so but he's in Washington. So yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the next one. It's the Charlotte Hornets. I'm handing out my first A+ of the day, or night. I guess it's 9:30. And this is one of those things that we talked about in our first round reactions after they took Conor Knippel and Liam McNeely, where they're taking players not necessarily based on upside and you're not swinging for the fences, but these are guys who are going to contribute right away. And that only became more of the case after drafting Ryan Kalkbrenner and Sion James with picks 33 and 34. So you walk away with Knippel, McNeely, James, and Kalkbrenner, and there's reasons to believe that all 4 of those guys can contribute right away. I think we both kind of agree that the way the center position stands right now, that Ryan Kalkbrenner could contend to, I mean,
he's going to make. Hold on. They just signed Plum Dog Millionaire a couple hours ago. I'd slow
It
your roll.
did.
Yeah. Future Hall of Famer Mason Plumlee. That's a tough job, man. I don't know.
So what I was saying is he's going to have a chance to contend and probably start at the center position. So that's going to be interesting to follow. And then Sion James, Connor Knipple, Liam McNeely all fit into a role super well. Connor Knipple doesn't exactly have to start, and they also added Colin Sexton. So like, if you want to talk about off-season winners, which maybe we could do that at a later time, but Charlotte would probably be in that category. But again, in hindsight, these moves just make so much sense. They're filling, talent roles, youth roles, but also skill set roles. You add a good shooter in Liam McNeely, good rim protector in Ryan Cockbrenner, a do-it-all guy in Con Knipple. So I think this was as good of a draft as you could have had. Brooklyn should have taken notes for using all their picks. Charlotte did the same thing and did it well. So that's what I have for the Hornets.
I also had an A+. That was my first piece for Draft SI after the draft ended, was why the Hornets were the winners of the draft, and I'll stand by that again. I they nailed every pick. The more I've thought about it, I can't decide if I think Khan would be better starting at the 2 or coming off the bench as a 6-man. Because I think either him or Sexton can do both, and I think both, whichever one comes off the bench, like could be strong contender for 6-man of the year. I'm not sure. They have a lot of options they can go with now, especially that they won't start Sion James right away, but depending on how much they want to play him, you could go McNeely at the 2, theoretically. That's an option as well. You could go Josh Green. They have a lot of options, but either way, they drafted 4 rotation players, and I think 2 of them with borderline all-star upside, and the other 2 at pretty high floors. So I like their draft. I really do.
I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure I saw this, that they also re-signed Trey Mann, I think.
No, he's gone.
They didn't?
They're not.
I thought I saw they re-signed him.
No, they didn't extend the qualifying offer, so he's unrestricted. I think they tried to keep him, and then Sexton.
No, they did actually re-sign him.
They did? Oh, did this just happen?
Like 3 hours ago.
That's why. Okay.
A 3-year, $24 million deal.
Really?
Yeah. So that is
all right.
Interesting, but I think that having Trey Mann and Colin Sexton is maybe a little bit redundant, but
that's exactly what I was about to say.
But I mean, I don't completely hate it either.
Sion James minutes, man. That's a hard.
Yeah, but still, that doesn't really change anything.
No, agreed.
Draft is still great, and Charlotte honestly could be good next year. So
I think they'll be a top 8 seed.
Yeah,
I've also said that the last 2 years, but
changing of the guard in the East, Washington and Charlotte are moving up.
Yeah,
so that'll be fun to watch. Next up is the Chicago Bulls. I'll let you go first on this one, Killian.
I think they deserve, I would say, either an A or an A-, because Essengay was number 6 on my board, and they got him all the way down at 12. And I think, like, for the first time now, they kind of have a vision and an identity. In the second half of the year, kind of after the Levine stuff happened, and obviously you're a Bulls fan, so you're watching more games than me, but I feel like I watched my fair share of Bulls games. They seem to kick up the tempo a lot and really run in transition and really kind of put pressure on opponents. And Essengay is really great at that on both sides of the ball in terms of starting transition plays. He's kind of all over passing lanes and is really an effective double teamer. And he can kind of run the floor too. He puts a lot of pressure on the rim. He gets to the line easy, and he's a freak athlete. So I think he fits right in with what they could be doing with at least Gideon Matas. Obviously, the rest of the roster is kind of up in air right now, but he fits those 2, which seem like they're a part of the core. I will say, not the biggest fan of the Lachlan Ulbrich thing. I think they probably could have got him as a UDFA if they wanted. And I don't know. I don't quite think he's ready. And I'm not really sure what he looks like in the NBA, even if he does pan out. I don't know. He's kind of feels like a throwback player, as like maybe he would have been a better 2014 NBA player than now, but maybe I'm wrong and he'll be good. And anyways, it's the later second round pick. And then, hey, if we want to count UDFAs, I was kind of adamant on it. I think Caleb Grill should make the roster because, I mean, the only other shooters are Io and Kevin Herter, and Kevin Herter doesn't shoot well half the time. kind of think Caleb Grill was a sneaky good signing. Obviously, we both watched a lot of him at Mizzou, but if I take that into account, maybe that bumps it up from an A- to an A. But obviously, we don't even know if he's going to make the roster. So I'll go A-.
Yeah,
Close.
I actually have a very different answer from you. This is one of those that I think changed a little bit after a lot of reflection. I gave him a B, and I like Noah a lot.
Yeah.
But he is still, pretty unrefined player, and he was getting better as the year went on. But this is not like a guy who is 100% certain to A, come in and contribute right away, and B, reach the ceiling that I think we both think he has. I had him at number 7 on my board, so it's not like I'm not high on him at all, because I think that's probably a little bit higher than consensus. But I still think, there's things he needs to improve on, and like, will the offense translate? That's going to be important. But pace-wise, and I think the defense too, like, this is such a shit defensive team last year. So that's one of those things that I think is certain that isn't that going to translate. You're not going to have to worry about it, is he's going to be a good defender, and you have him and Matas. And as much as we, I shit on Patrick Williams, like, he's a good defender, right? He's a good defender.
Is he?
I feel like he's a fine defender.
I don't know. He's average.
Okay, he's not a $90 million defender, but he's a good enough defender. So there's a defensive vision on this team, which I can really appreciate. And then
is there? I get, like, that's what I was saying with like Essengay and Matas, but like no
I
one else.
I guess not with Giddy.
Yeah, like, you kind of needed Essengay to be that. Like,
I'll retract that statement, because Giddy can't, Kobe can't,
Vooch can't.
Troy Jones is fine, but he's tiny.
Yeah.
Io's fine, but he might get moved.
Yeah.
Kobe's not a negative defender, but he also might get moved.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll retract that. But with the 55th pick in Lachlan, you look at the guards who were taken after him: Will Richard, Max Shulga, and Jemai Mashak. I actually really like Jemai Mashak, like, a lot. I'm at 44 on my board. That's a guy who I really enjoyed watching all throughout college. And Will Richard and Jemai Mashak were excellent defenders, and those are two dudes who absolutely could have made the roster just based on like hustle and grit alone, I feel like. And Mashak needs some offense to translate. Will Richard has that already. I would have loved either of those two dudes. And Max Shulga, I talked about earlier, big Max Shulga guy as well. So I mean, Lachlan's not very good. I don't know what he does great. What does he even do that's fine? I mean, he's a
what does he even do?
He's just like so average to below average. I don't love it. So I think, you're still thinking about a risk reward pick with Noah, and the 55th pick could have been used for a contributing player. I don't think Lachlan is going to be a contributing player. So,
dude, you know who he just reminded me of? It just now clicked. Do you remember Cameron Bairstow?
Oh, maybe. Was he Australian too?
I don't. Yes, he is. Yeah, he played for you guys in
I
like
think so.
2015-ish.
That name sounds a little familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome back, Cameron Bairstow.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like I don't know. I don't want to say you can't be I don't want to say you can't be drafted for being a hustle player, because you definitely can, but it's just like, when you watch Lachlan's film, like, what does he do well? I don't know. I really don't even know. So B grade for me for the Chicago Bulls. It's not like I'm very excited for Noah. I have the same level of excitement for Noah that I did for Mattis. And this is the second year in a row. So this last time around, second year in a row where we have taken a player that I had high on my board, probably above consensus, but that I had high on my board, and then he fell to us. I feel like Noah falling to 12 is technically him, or going at 12 is technically him falling, and I feel like Mattis at, what was it, 10 maybe, or 11? Yeah, I feel like that was him falling as well.
Yeah.
So good value for the position. So I guess a B might be a little bit harsh, but I still think if we're being really nitpicky, since it's my team, I'm going to do that. I think there's some potential issues, and Laughlin's going to get cut. So moving on to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Here, the Cleveland Cavaliers ended up with Tyrese Proctor and Saliu Niang. This is another one that I feel like I was kind of harsh on, so maybe I'll rethink my grade after talking it out. I think we both love Tyrese Proctor. Getting him with the 49th pick is great value. They actually just signed or like his contract was announced today, which is kind of interesting. Tyrese Proctor is probably, A plus pick, right? That's great.
Yeah.
But who the fuck is Saliu Niang? Who is that? Who is that? I mean, it's you never want to be the team that drafts the guy who nobody had on their big board.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And they did that.
Yeah.
And they did that. So I'm giving him a C plus just for that. I mean, they took him with the 58th pick, so maybe it's being harsh, but I don't have the receipts to back up who was available and who they could have selected, but there are plenty of like experienced wings. Like Ryan Nembhard was still around.
Ryan Nembhard going undrafted is crazy.
Grant Nelson.
Yeah, Grant Nelson's good. I like Grant Nelson.
Like I really liked like a Kobe Johnson, Dink Pate. Like they cut Amani Bates. Like Dink Pate could literally do the same thing as Amani Bates.
Yeah.
Just be like a crappy athletic young wing. The list goes on and on of guys they could have taken, but they took the guy that nobody knows. I still don't know who he is. I didn't really give him the time, like respectfully didn't really give him the time of day.
It looks like he's a 6'5" that plays like a center. So you're Terry Taylor. I think he's a Terry Taylor clone. I think
that's another good Chicago Bull call out.
Yeah, that's what I'm picking up.
So I don't know. And then another one of these things, like I know Proctor doesn't have to play point guard, but they did just add Lonzo. So kind of weird there. I know Ty Jerome's not coming back, but they also brought back Sam Merrill, so it's just kind of weird. And Proctor's a ready now player, but we're they're gonna have to find some minutes for him. So I don't know. It's a interesting situation, interesting decision there to take Saliu Niang. Tyrese Proctor is great value, so I don't want that to get twisted. I'm sure Niang's going to be a draft and stash, but I don't know who he is.
Yeah, I mean, I would give them like B plus A minus because like, yeah, Niang isn't all that great, but it's pick 57, and like realistically, whoever pick 57 was just going to be on a two-way and not play any minutes for the Cavs. That's not to like completely disregard UDFAs or late round second picks because like we see them contribute every year, but like it's like 1 to 2 usually out of pick 55 and on combined with the UDFAs or end up being contributors within the next year. And the Cavs are competing for a title. And like you said, I think Proctor's pretty win now. And yes, like the path to minutes may not be like crystal clear, but also like if this like LeBron thing is also a thing, like maybe Garland is in that trade. Even without that, because that's obviously a pretty big spectacle. I think there's a lot of similarities between Proctor and Ty Jerome in the sense of they're both pretty fantastic off and on ball shooters, both kind of pick and roll guys. Underrated defenders. I think they're both pretty feisty and have long enough arms to get in those passing lanes. But I also think there's probably not a very high chance Lonzo plays more than 50 games, which there's a lot of time for Proctor there. So if he isn't ready, he's got a little bit of time behind Lonzo. If he is ready, he'll have a little bit of time in front of Lonzo while he's on the bench. So I like Proctor there, and I think that's enough because I had him in a first round grade on my board, and they got him they got him in the mid second round. So getting a guy with at least like 15 picks of value, I think is I think I have to give that at least a B plus. I'll go A minus in this case.
C plus is probably pretty harsh, but I'll stand by what I said. Next up is the Dallas Mavericks. I don't think we need to talk about this too much, but I gave this a B.
Bro, what?
Well, listen, like It's not like they did anything dramatic.
I think you got to give them credit at this point for not doing anything dramatic. I think that's why they get an A.
They had one job to not fuck it up. It's not like I'm not.
That's a big ask.
Okay, I'll bump it up. I'll give them an A.
Yeah, they don't need to get an A plus, but like, come on, like a B. Like
I don't know. It's like they had one job and they did it, and I guess I've been. I think this is not like a crazy take, but like this reminds me a little bit of where Golden State was when they took James Wiseman, like super injured, and they just stumbled into the number 1 overall. And obviously Dallas wasn't that bad. Like Golden State was bad that year, right?
Yes, because Curry got hurt in the
beginning. They were bad, and they were really bad, super injured. So a little bit different, but they kind of stumbled into the number 1 overall pick, stumbled into it. But yeah, I guess I'll be generous. I don't know if they deserve Cooper Flag, but they got him, so I'll give him an A since you talked me into it.
Yeah, A.
Do you have any? You going the same thing?
Yeah, I don't have any thoughts. I mean, I'm not gonna drag on them too much for it.
All right then. Do we have any thoughts on Denver? I mean,
Mizzou legend Tamar Bates, like, yeah, duh.
Like, so we'll give him an A plus.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know what I could possibly say.
I gave him an NA originally because they didn't have a draft pick.
Yeah.
I guess if we're counting Tamar, like they get a B for signing Tamar. They're kind of loaded up on the wing now, so I don't really play anymore. But
probably not.
Good signing.
Yeah. Detroit Pistons. I gave him an A. I like Chaz Lanier.
A?
Yeah.
Holy glaze, dude. For Chaz Lanier?
Bro, my Alexa just started talking to me.
Dude, I heard that. That's
what the hell?
Dude, that's Riz.
That's terrifying. I just had to unplug her, bro. She's listening to our conversation.
Yeah.
Let me pull up my board here, and I'll tell you why I had a first round grade on Chaz Lanier. In hindsight, with the Malik Beasley situation, and they added.
I guess in hindsight that helps a bit. Yeah.
They do bring in Karis. Wait, no.
Yeah, they got him. They got They paid Karis LeVert and Duncan Robinson like $40 million a year, dude.
Yeah, like, Duncan Robinson is a lot. So I guess they have their shooters. So maybe I'll bump this down a little bit because I did this. I did a few of these before. Some of these were announced. I think I knew that Karis LeVert was going there, but not Duncan Robinson. But still, I think it's a good move, and I think a reasonable like situational comparison is what Dalton connected. So I don't think there's much not much disagreement for me with this pick. And it's one of those as well where it was a second round pick, so they could have gone multiple directions and fucked it up. I don't know what else they could have used there or what they really needed. It seems like a guy that there's I don't know where the really downside is of taking him, especially with Malik Beasley banished to jail. So I don't know. That's my take on that. Maybe I'll bump it to
second time.
Yeah, I'll give it a B plus just for the sake of Duncan Robinson and feeling judged by you, but I still like this. I like this pick a lot.
I'll go C. Like, I don't know. Because if you wanted a shooter, I think Kobe Bray would have been a better choice.
That's fair.
If you wanted a kind of like lankier guy, I think Jameer Watkins would have been a better choice. If you wanted a better ball handler, I think Cam Jones would have been a better choice.
Big no to Jameer Watkins.
I mean, he can at least play some defense, like ish. He's active. Like, I'm not even a big Jameer Watkins guy, but
Elijah Martin.
Yeah, he's athletic. Like, I'm not a big Elijah
Martin guy,
but I don't know. I think I originally gave the Pistons a B, but after they just went out and signed LeVert and Debo, I'm just kind of like, all right, how does Lanier get minutes? He probably doesn't. So I don't know.
That's fair.
C.
Yeah, I'll roll with the B plus because I really like Chaz Lanier, but reasonable. I don't know what we're doing given Duncan Robinson so much money, but
that guy's got worse every year of his career.
Literally, he had a good season and it hasn't been good for them since.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the Golden State Warriors. They took Alex Tui and Will Richard. I gave him a C.
Yeah.
I like Will Richard. I don't like Alex Tui, but they're second round picks, so not much to really cry home about. Will Richard could probably make the roster. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, Alex Tui is like a
He'll be a
50%.
two-way, right? I think.
Probably. They probably both will. He'll be like a 50% better version of Lachlan, which doesn't really say much. He's like I don't even know what he is, honestly. They're kind of hard to read, but yeah, I don't really have much to say here about Golden State.
I would give him a C, but also like Golden State kind of like regularly nails these second round picks, especially the late ones. So like just me personally, C, but knowing that it's the Warriors, I'll trust him a little bit and give him like a B-.
That's reasonable. I think in my opinion, if they're going to hit on one, it's going to be Will Richard.
Yeah.
He was kind of universally seen as a guy who's like, that like everyone seems to want in the second round. So I think that's a good landing spot for him. So that'll be interesting to keep an eye on. There, onto the Los Angeles, the Houston Rockets. Sorry.
They didn't draft anyone.
Yeah, no. Now, I mean, we could give him a grade because of, the KD trade, because there's implications there, but I didn't give him one, so I don't know.
I mean, basically they traded Malawak as part of it for KD, which I mean, based off the Clint Capella signing it, they low-key could have drafted Malawak. That was maybe in play. I don't know. Like I'm kind of inclined to not give them a grade, I guess. But if you want to like take into account they signed a Mississippi State guy to an Exhibit 10, then they can get a grade on that.
Who? Cameron Matthews?
Yeah.
Nice.
He's fun. I like him.
Dope.
So
That's dope.
A+ Cam Matthews.
A+ to Cam Matthews. All right, Indiana Pacers are up next. They took Cam Jones and everybody's favorite unknown player. I have to like
stamped Wright's NBA Draft's first official clip farm. Taylor
I have to
bite saying that wrong, by the way. Did you see that?
Yeah, dude, you got your ass handed to you on that Twitter post. Oh my god.
I know.
Grammar police, he's saying his name wrong.
Wow.
He's not white. You just got
he's not.
Yeah. Allegedly.
Oopsies.
So you're gonna have to. Do you want to issue like a public apology before we talk about Taylor? How do you
public
say it?
Apology? The camera of the clips I was watching on was in like 480p. I couldn't see anything, so it looked like I was watching on a Game Boy Plus. So my bad.
Do you say?
Huh?
How do we say his name?
Don't know.
Talon Pete? How about we say?
I'm assuming it's Talon. It can't be anything else.
It has to be Talon, yeah.
Yeah.
But both of these are second round picks, and I was just gonna say I have to bite my tongue a little bit. Now, I knew about Talon Peter, and he was on my board because of you. I watched him sparingly. But most people probably did not know about Talon Peter. He was probably one of the guys that nobody knew. So I'm gonna bite my tongue because he's awesome. I'll let you give your grade out first.
I think he's cool, and I think he's like actually a really good fit in Indiana. But I think more importantly, I think Cam Jones is a really good pick there. I think Cam Jones is pretty NBA ready, and like honestly, we'll probably get some pretty good minutes next year. I think Nembhard might run the point, and then McConnell will obviously get good minutes off the bench, but they'll probably need a third ball handler if they want to keep up the play style since Halliburton's out. So I like Cam Jones there. I think he's pretty good. I think they got good value out of both those guys as maybe some eventual McConnell/Shepherd replacements. I like it. I don't think they're world beaters or anything, but they got good bang for their buck. Probably a B+.
Yeah, I gave him I gave him an A. Same reasons you said. I think Cam Jones is NBA ready, and Talon Peter might not play a minute, but he has enough. I think he has enough skill set there where maybe he could come in and hit a few shots. Shout to Ben Shepherd. I love him. That's all I have to say, really.
Shout out. You like him because he has a stash, dude. Your stash does not look like Ben Shepherd, bro.
Bro, just give me a year. Okay, Yeah, so Indiana did a really good job here. Cam Jones is pretty good value there. He could have gone in the first round. I feel like for one of those last three teams, just
I was kind of hoping Boston would take him.
yeah, that was an
Or the
option.
Clippers. Clippers were like dying to get a ball handler.
Mhm.
We'll get
Yeah,
into
you
that when the
just
Clippers are up. Yeah.
yeah, you just stole the words right out of my mouth. Or hear me out, Brooklyn.
Dude, instead of Danny Wolf, why didn't they get Cam Jones? They could have had
Or
5
Ben Surratt or Nolan Troy, but that's beyond the point.
Yeah.
Okay, next up is the LA Clippers. This was one of the worst drafts. I gave him a D.
Whoa.
Yannick Conan Niederhauser is not good. Again, we talked about this. It's like he's an NBA athlete, but not an NBA player. Like he's athletic and can block shots, but he just has so far to go. They also took Kobe Sanders, who I do like, but I think the Conan Niederhauser pick is so bad, so I'm going to give him a D.
Yeah, I hate the Conan Niederhauser pick too, especially when Kalka's right there, and then they go out. Oh, dude, this is so bad because like I'm just now like fully putting it together in my head on why this is even worse than I originally graded. So I think whenever we were first talking last week in our reactions, I was like, they have Drew Eubanks on their team and they just drafted Drew Eubanks again. Well, they cut Drew Eubanks.
Cut Drew Eubanks.
Yeah, so apparently they envision Yannick as the next Drew Eubanks, clearly.
Yeah.
And then the other case is, well, Kalka's right there, and he went 4 picks later, and like he had to have been on your board, right? No, they're choosing 37, 38-year-old Brook Lopez.
Yeah.
Kalk probably, I bet by January, Kalka's better than Brook Lopez. So it's like, why? Why? And also the signing of Brook Lopez, Yannick isn't going to play, right? I mean, you have Zoo and you have Brook. I don't think Yannick plays.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. I have Brook Lopez as my comp for Brad Cockbutter. So
yeah, I think mine was.
You could have got
Brook
Lopez, but 14 years younger. What's your grade, by the way?
I don't know because, I really hate that pick. I do like Kobe Sanders. I think he's pretty good. I think especially having a guy like Batum there can help Kobe Sanders maybe be good. But I don't think he's ready like right now. And clearly the Clippers are an old team who needs guys who are ready right now. And I don't think either of those guys are. So honestly, I would go D.
Yeah, and the other thing with Kobe Sanders is I think he has plenty of NBA tools, but he is also like pushing 25 already. Like he's old. I think people don't fully understand that. So he is a good player and has NBA tools, but it's not like I wonder how much of his ceiling he's already reached. So interesting stuff there from the Clippers. Really not all that good. Next up is the Lakers. They ended up with Adu Thiero with pick 36. They moved around to get him. Tell me what you think here, Killian, about Adu Thiero.
I like Thiero, but I don't think I like him with the Lakers. I think they got good value, and like he's a pretty good defender, and he's showed like actually a little bit of ability to like create his own pressure at the rim. Like he can get there without just cutting, which I think is kind of a big deal for a guy like him. But like realistically, like I don't know if I feel comfortable playing him. Definitely not in a playoff setting this year. Like is what I'm trying to say. Like if the Lakers are like really all in on this, like they're trying to win with the Luka LeBron window, then I don't really care for it. But if they're not really worrying about that and they're going to be patient with Thiero, then I like it a lot better. So really, it's kind of all in the hands of like the Lakers coaching staff on how they want to handle this. I think best case scenario, it's like an A, but also worst case scenario, they'd like don't give him any time and he just doesn't really fit next to Braun and what they need to do right now. And so he just isn't good. It's like an F. So I think I'll meet in the middle and go C. But this is like fully in the hands of the Lakers staff at this point.
Yeah. I think I don't know what episode we talked about it in, but he was like one of the players that I was highest on above consensus. He was the 14th best player on my board, which is a lot higher than I think a lot of people had him. So I'm not going to go out and give it an A+ or an A for the same reasons you said, because there is a universe where this doesn't work and the fit is a little iffy. But at the very minimum, they have an athlete with budding potential who is a good defender and has no issues getting to the rim, and he's a freak athlete as well. I have gone out of my way to compare him to Derek Jones Jr. I think every team can use a guy like that, so I'm going a B plus, just because there's a universe where it doesn't work out, and that's not like that's very realistic that happens. But I don't think he's going to be expected to play right away, and I think bringing in a guy like Jake Laravia, kind of signals that as well, that they're going to give him some time because they, both are a 3 or a 4. So I love Adu Thiero, and like the value would be an A plus for me, but I think I question the fit a little bit, and I agree. If they're patient with them, then this could really end up working out well. But definitely, I think I would make the argument that it's one of the better value picks in the second round. But again, universe where it doesn't work out. Memphis Grizzlies are up next. What did I give the Memphis Grizzlies? I gave them a B plus. And I don't know how I feel about that saying it out loud. But they get Cedric Coward with the 11th pick, who one of those guys that, again, we both agree on that we really, really liked. And I would say we were higher on him than consensus for a while, but his stock, both nationally and like on Twitter, NBA Draft Twitter, rose so rapidly that 11 is probably right about where, most people had him, and I don't think he was going to fall much farther than that. They also land Javon Small and Jemai Mashak in the second round. Javon Small was kind of an NBA Draft Twitter darling that I already spoke out on Jemai Mashak. Did I say Javon? I meant to say Javon Small. Sorry. Javon Small was an NBA Draft Twitter darling. Everyone really loved him. But I really like Jemai Mashak. Seems like a guy who can find his way onto an NBA roster. Memphis has obviously done so much with these two-way guys and these G League guys recently. So I think landing two G League guys or two-way guys potentially in Small and Mashak is like a perfect scenario for them because they're willing to give them minutes, and those are two guys that have enough honed in skill set in certain areas that I think they can make their way onto a team. And then Cedric Coward, one of those guys that's just going to fit in on basically every single team, any single team that would have picked him. So this is a good draft for them. Also a lot of experience and age, so it's not necessarily I guess Coward's only 22 and still has some room for growth, but Mashak and Small are on the older side. So I think there's a lot to like here. I like Jemai Mashak a lot, so that's a really good pick. Maybe even, again, I like Cedric Coward, but maybe Mashak was even my favorite of the three, but I'm not going to get into that. Killian, what are your thoughts?
I think I go like B or B plus. I think all three of those guys were drafted right about where they should have been, so they didn't reach too far, didn't get any crazy steal or anything, at least in my opinion. I am a little bit worried about how they'll treat Cedric Coward over there because they're kind of, they give their rookies not the biggest leash. And I guess they're young players too. Like, it doesn't take much for you to get cut from the Grizzlies rotation. Like Gigi Jackson, who I don't even think is all that great, but like is clearly more of a high upside guy. Very short leash with him. He'll just won't play for very long stretches. Kind of the same thing happened with Vince Williams. They'll just randomly opt to play John Conchar a lot of minutes instead, which nothing against John Conchar, but he's kind of is what he is. So I hope they're patient with Cedric Coward because, he could be a bit of a project. He didn't really play the best competition and didn't really play very much. So there's definitely room to grow. We both really like him a lot. Hopefully they do him justice. And I think overall they had a pretty solid draft. Give him B plus.
Agree. I'm actually really happy that Jemai Mashak got drafted because I didn't know if he would or not. So happy to see that. Next up is the Miami Heat. Killian, what do you have for Miami?
So I think before we even started the show, we definitely did. We talked about multiple times my disdain for Kasparis, and I didn't think he was very good. And I still don't think he's I'm not sold on him. There's traits that tell me he's going to be Elfrid Payton, and there's traits that tell me he could be Halliburton. So it's it's tough, but I think he's in a pretty good spot in Miami. He's got guys next. He has multiple role partners and Bam and Ware. Ware can even be a pop partner. He's got Hero, who can be a lights out knockdown shooter, and he can also be kind of a secondary ball handler to take the pressure off of him. He doesn't have this like ridiculous need to play right away because Davion's there. I also think Kasparas can play with Davion, which is pretty nice. I think that's good. Because I wrote a piece on this, but I think Kasparas has kind of a secondary angle as where he can be not a point guard. He could succeed as maybe the connector. So I think he has a chance to be either one of those in Miami. And also, like, Miami hasn't really taken a swing on like a guy who could be a star in a bit, or at least who is consensusly viewed as that. I kind of think Khalil Ware could, but I don't think many people do. So to see them do that with Kasparas is cool, and I think it was about time they did it. So honestly, I think I'm going to go A. I think I like it. I think this is the spot.
Yeah, I give it a B+ for the exact same reason, so I'm not going to go into it much. I don't think it was surprising to see him fall a little bit, but it seems like a dream situation, and Miami is one of the better player development teams in the league, with obviously Eric Spoelstra. So, drafting one of the highest ceiling guys to an Eric Spoelstra coach team is never going to be an issue at all. So go with the B+ just because I think, like you said, he has a long ways to go, but still a really good pickup here, and not going to be a ton of expectation necessarily for him right away, but I also feel like he can play right away. So that'll be an interesting one to keep an eye on. Milwaukee Bucks are up next. Their lone pick in this draft was
Bogoljuba Markovic.
Bogoljuba Markovic at number 47. I don't want to get all that into this one because it's not like the biggest deal. I gave it a C-. It would teeter on the D side of a D+ as well. I don't think he's that good, but he is kind of this modern vision of what a forward should be, and he's also 19 years old. So, I mean, he has potential. He's going to be a stash guy, I'd imagine. So
I think he's playing.
Okay. So maybe not going to be a stash guy, but higher on the potential side, but I think he's just a very raw player. It's going to be a couple years before he sees.
I lied. He's a draft and stash. You're right.
Okay, good. Yeah, good. Yeah. Going to be a couple years before he sees an NBA court. But I guess because of the fact that he's still 19, I'll keep it with the C-. But I don't think he's very good.
Yeah. Now that I'm learning he's overseas, I kind of want to give the Bucks an F because, like, what are we doing? I had Markovic as a first-round grade. But it wasn't high. It was 29 or 28, excuse me. So it wasn't like some.
I had about 66.
Sick. All right, pretty close.
Yeah.
But also the Bucks just can't draft, and so the Bucks picking him is making me inclined to think that I was wrong. So, because whatever the Bucks do is just never right. And also just not only like the process in this now of drafting a guy who. Like if they had drafted a project player who was going to play, you could maybe they like his fit next to Giannis. Maybe they think he's a little bit more ready. They're drafting a project player who literally will not play for them next year. If he is overseas, then he's not playing for them. The Giannis window could be like 4 months. Like Giannis could request out at the deadline if things aren't going well. You're telling me you're going to choose a guy who's not going to play a second for you next year? Like there were still contributed. Proctor was still on the board. You knew Dame was out for the whole year next year. Like Proctor was right there. Javon Small went the pick after. Like I don't know. I'm more inclined to give the Bucks an F now that I realize that he's overseas, which that's on me for not knowing beforehand. But they get an F for that. What the fuck are they doing?
Yeah, I love doing the exercise of they could have picked this guy in hindsight, especially with the Damian Lillard stuff. Tyrese Proctor, Kobe Sanders, Will Richard, Max Shulga, Jemai Meshack, any of those guys that were drafted, and then obviously the undrafted bunch. Any sort of wing depth or guard depth would have been better, and Proctor could have played significant minutes on the team in hindsight. So, yeah, I agree. Stupid pick. A couple other stupid ones, in my opinion, here. Next up for the Minnesota Timberwolves, They took Joan Berenger, 17th pick, and they end up getting the rights to Rocco Zakarski at number 45. That is two not European, two international big men.
Who both suck.
Yeah, I mean,
Behringer's okay, but
okay, yeah. There's Rudy's old.
But like not really. Rudy's like
How old?
31, 32, right? Like he can.
I
I also don't think Rudy's in any danger of like declining soon based off his build.
No, okay, so Rudy's 33.
Yeah.
And I think we talked about this. Like I threw out Leonard Miller's name. Like I love Leonard Miller. And Jean Berenger is kind of in the same spot where he's like a undersized, skinny, like wannabe center, but that can play defense and can move around the court. Rocco's not very good. Another one, like the three Australians, dude. Like, what do they even do? Like all three of them, what do they even do?
Dude,
like,
these ones don't even have aura either. It's kind of sad. The other ones usually did. These ones don't.
No, none at all. Like I couldn't tell you a single thing about fucking Alex Tui. But I don't know what they were doing here. They took two centers. Yeah, I gave it a D because I like Joan Berenger. But the doubling up on the position, if it was just Joan, I could have justified like a B-, I think, just because you could throw him in the G League or get him going right away even and have him playing some minimal backup minutes. But I think we talked about this in the reaction video where they kind of need a ball handler. There's point guards available. There's guards available.
I mean, 3 point guards went right after that.
Yeah, and I really don't. I know you don't like Nolan Traore, but I feel like that would have been.
It would have been an okay spot.
It would have been a fine fit for him there.
I would have liked Clay. I would have loved Clayton or Kasparis there.
Yeah, Kasparis. Yeah. Kasparis was a place he was mocked pretty frequently as well.
That was my number one spot for him. I thought if he went to Minnesota, it would have been perfect.
So I'm gonna give him a D just because I think I don't like completely hate Berenger or however you say his name. But the doubling up on the positions makes absolutely no sense. I don't know what they're doing here. So gonna be a D for me.
Dude, you should have been backing me up on Twitter then. I don't know if you saw, me and David Campbell have major beef now, dude.
Why?
I posted something like the Wolves are like royally messing up their offseason with the extensions and the letting Nikhil walk and then their draft as well. And I said that they drafted two guys who were not ready to contribute and at unnecessary positions because they have Nas and Rudy. And maybe they definitely could use one more rim protector for the upcoming playoffs next year, but I don't think Joan or Rocco is that. Dude, you got to stop making that face, bro.
Let me fix my hair, bro.
Stop dude, me. You should have been in there defending me, bro. If you got this take about the Wolves, I was getting slaughtered by David Campbell.
It's a problem.
Yeah, back me up next time, man.
I got you, dog.
Yeah, but F for me too. I don't like it.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll stand by. I stand on business, bro.
Wow. Do you think we're gonna get two Fs in a row here? We got the New Orleans Pelicans up next.
You're giving the Pelicans an F?
They end up with Jeremiah Fears, Derek Queen, and Micah Peavy. They also get rid of their first-round pick. I'm giving them an F. The talent's fine. I actually like Micah Peavy too, but just completely fucking directionless.
But what if Derek Queen ends up a Hall of Famer, bro?
Yeah, no. Yeah, no. I don't really feel like really justifying myself. They with Kevon Looney as well, like I don't even know what they're doing. So it sucks. I mean, again, Queen and Fears are fine players, but just it sucks.
Yeah, I'll go. Oh man, I'll go like a D or D plus. I don't think it warrants an F. I think that trade was really stupid. But I also had Queen pretty high on my board. I not too high, I guess. I had Queen. I had Queen at 12 and they took him at 13. So it's like, yeah. But I think Queen is fun. Yeah. It's fun. It's okay. Here's what I'll say. What like the Nets did and the Pelicans did is like terrible to the point where it's like not fun in my opinion. But the Pelicans like did some things that I don't think are very smart, but like could be a little bit fun. I think Fears is like not good, but he low key has aura, so like
Zero fears.
he might be good. Fears
Zero fears.
everything about Fear. This coming, I like Oklahoma basketball. I have for a long time, but like I don't think Fears is good based off all the analytics and like watching him play. But dude, like he has undeniable aura, and like that alone might make him good. So they get a D because they took two really fun players. I'll say that.
Yeah, I mean, like comparing them to Brooklyn too, like at least New Orleans has Zion, Herb Jones, like good players on their team.
Yeah.
You know, but if I'm giving Atlanta such a good grade for the trade, I have to hurt New Orleans for it. So
yeah,
that's my rationale. But I don't hate where they're coming from either. New York Knicks. We don't need to talk about this one much. They took Mo Diarra with the 51st pick. I gave
it an F. I was like, what the hell? Like
I gave E minus just because I don't.
Yeah.
He was actually the lowest rated player. I graded 90 players. And he's the lowest. So
oh man.
Good for you, Mo Diawara. I'm sorry.
Well, he'll certainly be at the new fourth string center as Precious Achua leaves and Ariel Hook-Purdy slides up. Now Diarra
sick.
Last.
Ariel Hook-Purdy's sick, by the way.
Oh yeah. Follow Hook-Purdy Muse on Twitter. We found it the other night.
Oh boy.
It's an account. Yeah.
All right. OKC Thunder. They end up with Thomas Sorber at 15 and Brooks Barnhizer at 44. Brooks Barnhizer was not a guy that I expected. I mean, not that I didn't expect him to get drafted. That's a disservice to him because he's actually kind of a fun player, but I just didn't really connect him to OKC. But seems like a guy who could come in and contribute in certain ways. And Thomas Sorber just seems like kind of a dream fit. I gave him a B+. I don't want to go much higher just because with how OKC's roster is constructed, like I don't. It's kind of hard to envision some of these guys playing a lot, especially Brooks Barnhizer, but Thomas Sorber as well with the Jalen Williams extension as well. So, I mean, they're good players, and I think they're fun players and can fit with OKC, but it's kind of hard to see how they're going to fit minutes-wise. So I'm going to give it a B+ because I like the picks, but I think it's going to be hard for them to see the court.
I'll go A- because I don't think Sorber necessarily needs to see the court next year. It's more long-term because Hartenstein's basically confirmed on his way out now in 2026. So someone's got to step in. And I think I'll post some clip and try and Twitter farm this later. But I think Sorber, what they're envisioning is kind of what Al Horford was in 2021, the year after Chris Paul. Mm-hmm. I think that's kind of what they're thinking there. And I love that. So good stuff with Sorber. Barnhizer seems like a cool culture guy. I'm not really sure how good at basketball he is, but seems like a good fit there and at least a fun enough player to where like, hey, I'd rather watch. Dude, get Adam Flagler the fuck off the team. Thank God.
You know what? They're bringing him back, dude. I guarantee he's going to be one of the two. I mean, not confirmed, but he's going to be one of the two-way guys, dude. I guarantee it.
I don't know
because they let Brandon Carlson walk, I think.
No, they tendered the offer.
Oh, okay.
Unless he already signed somewhere, but they tendered the offer.
Bro, let it be Dukas and
Barnhizer and Carlson.
Yeah.
No more
Flag. Dude, I remember texting
Barnhizer.
Bro, he will shoot 50 fucking shots before he makes one. He's an awesome player.
I was talking about this with the editor at Fansided, and I was like, dude, not Alex Dukas. Adam Flagler has like remember when Dion Waiters was with the Heat and they just let him do like whatever the fuck he wanted. That's like Adam Flagler for the last 2 minutes of a blowout. Like he just goes out there and takes 8 shots and none of them go in. But he's got a smile on his face and the team loves it. So
absolutely.
A-. Not an A+ because I got grilled for this on Twitter too. Not a good week for me. But Neat Clifford, we could have drafted Neat Clifford at 24, who was personally like my number 3 guy for OKC. And obviously everyone's like, we don't have the roster spots for it. It's fucking Ousmane Dieng, dude.
Yeah.
Like I think I would rather have Nate Clifford on a 4-year deal than Usman on a 1, but maybe I'm crazy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't
A
disagree.
minus. Good for
Don't
Sorber.
disagree. Yep. Next up's the Orlando Magic. You were fond of this one, so I'll let you go first. What are your thoughts on Orlando?
Yeah, Jason and Penda is pretty sick to walk
Fucking
away with.
Tyus Jones, man. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Oh my God. Tyus Jones sucks. Tyus Jones is terrible. He hasn't been good for like 4 years. Don't even get me started, bro. Like genuinely, that irks me because, dude, Tyus Jones is like, or TJ McConnell is like what people think Tyus Jones is. Like Tyus Jones he's in the Monte Morris mold where they can't really put pressure on the rim. They're like labeled as kind of good defenders, but that's just because they get steals on other point guards. Like the second Tyus Jones would get baked by Terrence Mann. I guarantee it. Like he can't switch. He can't really shoot. He can't pull up. Like he's not good. The reason that angers me so much is because he's going to take away Jace Richardson's minutes. And I love Jace Richardson. I think he's like ridiculously good. And especially in Orlando, I was so excited when they got him. And I was like, oh my God, him and Anthony Black in the backcourt for the bench unit. It's sick. He could play 20 minutes a night right away, be one of their best shooters already. And I thought that was sick. And now Tyus Jones is going to eat his minutes. So that's a little annoying. Noah Penda, I really like that as well. Kind of makes me think they're maybe out on Jonathan Isaac and are going to try and flip him at the deadline because, I mean, that's very redundant in my opinion. But two really good players, even if they have guys who may kind of be in their way for a couple months, hopefully Jones and Isaac are on their way out so we get some Jace Richardson and Penda hoops. But I think those are great guys who both fit in.
Yeah, and I mean, again, you're never going to complain walking away with Richardson is like on the back end of being 18. He'll turn 19 years soon, and what Penda I have down as being 20 years old. So two young guys there. I gave him an A minus.
Yeah,
I was a little bit lower. Actually, no, I wasn't even a little bit lower on Noah Penda. I had Jace Richardson at 20, which could have been higher, and Penda at 24. So value wise, for me and my draft board's sake, one of the best of the bunch.
Yep.
Next up, Philadelphia 76ers. I don't really have many thoughts on this. They walk away with VJ and then Janai Broom. I gave him a B plus. I don't want to like eat my words here. So they took Broom at 35. If they were looking for a big man, like it could have been Amari Williams and it could have been Maxime Renaud. I don't think there's really going to be any complaints about Janai Broom going there. Yeah, solid player. And then VJ is VJ. This could be higher if the situation was like, not that the situation is bad for VJ, but it's so crowded in that room with him. Oh my God, I'm blanking. Jared McCain, Tyrese Maxey, Quentin Grimes.
I think Grimes is gone, so that helps a little bit. But
this year,
I mean, he's a free agent right now. He's restricted.
I actually have no idea.
It costs a lot of money.
I mean, I just want to say, dude, I am pro Quentin Grimes. I love Quentin Grimes. I hope he ends up somewhere and makes a shit ton of money. But I'll give the deal a B plus just because VJ was probably the third best player in the draft, and they got him there. No, not really any complaints there. And Janai Broom, I don't know what Philly's looking at the center position right now. They did just sign Trendon Watford.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I actually like Trendon Watford.
I think that means they're out on Yabu though.
He signed the Knicks.
How am I just missing everything, dude? This is unlike me. Wow.
All not right. Locked in. They also they re-signed Andre Drummond, but
he sucks.
Anyway, my point being, Broom can play. There'll be minutes there for him, I think. But if not, he will absolutely be a G League demon.
Yeah, I think him and Watford can kind of like recreate Yabu like in two different players. Like they like mesh together. Like there's Yabu.
Yeah.
But if they were like 30 pounds heavier. But I will say I'm not totally sure Broom is going to be able to play because like he's not really a rim protector. I don't know. I think they should have went for more of he was fine in college, but I mean he can't jump, so that's a bit of a problem for the NBA. I don't know. I think if I were them, I would have went for a little bit more of a rim protector because Embiid also can't jump anymore. So I don't know. But obviously they nailed the VJ pick. That was the right pick there. So you can't harp on him too much. I think I'd go B+ as well.
Does Brew remind you of Jalen Williams at all? Just because he's a fine rebounder, he's a good, very good passer. Probably, I don't want to.
There's elements like
I don't want to rank passing big men, but I feel like
I don't think he has the ball handling that Jay will do. I think Jay will like I legit feel comfortable him like operating on the perimeter.
That's fair. Yeah, I'll take that back. But still, I think there's elements there.
It's not a bad comparison. There's elements.
I like Jedi Broom though. Phoenix Suns, they had an interesting draft for a variety of reasons. They end up with Kaman Malawach, Rasheer Fleming at the first pick of the second round, and then Kobe Brea. And they also land Mark Williams via trade. I put down 2 grades here, like including the trade and discounting the trade. Like not including the trade, this is like an A+ draft, value-wise and talent-wise, like Kobe Brea, Rasheer Fleming, come on, Malawach. Just for reference, Malawach is my 4th best player. I had Rasheer Fleming at 10. And then, holy shit, who's left? Kobe Brea. I had Kobe Brea at 26. So they drafted 3 first-round talents in my book. Never going to go wrong with that. The other grade with Mark Williams is a B, so not a huge difference there. Just because, and Mark Williams, we kind of talked about this last episode. Mark Williams is probably gone after the season, or maybe even this season. Who knows? So Kaman's probably still the guy for the future. But so just kind of a weird move development-wise for either of them because both are fun players. But just especially Kaman Malawach, weird move development-wise for him. So I'll stick with I'm for the sake of saying it because I don't know if I've done A+ yet. I don't think I have. So I'm gonna give Phoenix an A+ because they drafted 3 first-round players with their 3 picks. But there's some wiggle room there with the Mark Williams trade.
Yeah, I was thinking A+ too. I think that would make it to where right now I have the Hornets, Hawks, and Suns as A+, which I feel pretty good about.
I did give Charlotte an A+.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Not much disagreement there. Next up, fucking Hansen Young.
A+.
1 million A+ from me.
Yeah.
This dude is awesome. He's not baby Jokic. Is Nikola Jokic 2.0 reincarnated. I think they're the same exact player. I don't think there's a better pick they could have made in this draft.
Are you for real?
Yeah.
Like you're like 100% dead ass.
1,000%, yeah.
Where was he on your big board? I didn't know you were this big of a young guy.
He was number 1.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah.
No, real talk. I don't really care that much about this pick. He's was 39th to my board. I gave it where is it? I gave it a C because he's young and like is kind of like he is fun. Also just for like kind of just being a fan favorite. I'll play into that a little bit. But there's a chance where he's good. He's gonna be. I mean, Robert Williams is gone and Ayton's gone, so he's gonna be the backup center.
No, I don't think he'll play this year.
Who else is on that team?
Well, I think Rob will be around for at least a little bit, and then if not, like Duop Reith will play. I don't think like
Duop Reith.
I don't think he's ready to play like at all.
No, he's not ready to play.
Like, not good. Like I don't think he'll touch an NBA like besides maybe garbage time minutes. I don't think he'll touch an NBA court till like the deadline at least.
He definitely is not ready to play. I mean, you can tell he's still like he kind of reminds me of like. I mean, this is kind of a deep pull, but I've been watching Ryan Kalkbrenner for 5 years. He reminds me of what Ryan Kalkbrenner was like as a sophomore, where he's super uncoordinated and like Ryan Kalkbrenner is slow, but he's coordinated and is calculated with his movement. And Hansen Young is slow and looks like a giraffe who's ready to fall over. So, he's not ready. He's not ready to play. I agree with that. I'll stick with my grade of a C though.
Yeah, he's cool. It was a fun pick. I applaud them for that because Portland, up until the last 2 years, was very boring drafting.
Yeah,
good for them. I like it enough. I do see the vision. Like if they do think he is this like Jokic-esque guy, I see the vision with him alongside like Tumani and Denny, and then Scoot can be your Jamal-ish, whatever. I don't know. I see it. I like it. B minus, C plus, C plus. It was a reach. It was a mega reach. I'll go C plus.
God, Portland. We don't need to get into this right now because we've been going for a while, but Portland's fun.
They're good.
Might not be. I don't know how good they're going to be, but they're fun.
They're playing.
All right, Sacramento Kings are next up. They took Nick Clifford and Maxime Renaud. I want you to go first because I was conflicted on this one.
I wrote a piece a couple days ago applauding them. I thought it was actually a really good draft. I think Nick was obviously Nick is my number 9 player, and he fell to them at 24. And like for whatever reason, the Kings like want to compete next year. Like very clearly, like they were targeting Russ. They signed Dennis Schroeder. They signed Drew Eubanks. Like they are wanting to compete next year. And with that mindset, Nick was one of the more NBA ready guys in the draft. And like also, the Kings have had like a grand total of 1 good wing in like the last 5 years, and that's Keegan Murray.
So Jones.
Sure. Thunder legend of 1 minute. I think Nick, like there's lineups where he could start, but I think he's at least a 20-minute per night guy, like right now, which is pretty good if you're trying to win. He gives him a guy who can cut. He's one of the better cutters in the draft. He's pretty good at catch and shoot. I think he shot like over 37% last year on catch and shoot threes. He can run the DHO with Sabonis, which is obviously like the staple. So good pick there. Renaud, I don't really like, but I think he went about where he should. So I don't totally hate it. I think he's positionally athletic enough to where it's like he can run in transition and outrun other centers, which is cool. He's a bit of a finesse guy. Basically, he's like a better version of Jonas Valanciunas is what I'm getting, like a more modernized, and obviously they just shipped out Valanciunas, so now having Renaud is like, all right, well, it's pretty clear where his role is now. I like him, so I feel pretty strongly that the Kings had one of their better drafts in the last few years, and I'll give him an A for it. A minus.
Yeah.
A minus.
I'm not going to touch on it too much, but I gave him a B plus for the same reason. Nick Clifford is fun, and Renaud went around where I thought he was going to go as well. So nothing to cry about there. San Antonio Spurs end up with Dylan Harper and Carter Bryant. This is also one of the better draft hauls of all the teams. I gave it an A minus just because I said this multiple times. I'm a little bit lower on Carter Bryant than some, but that 14th pick, I don't think it's a reach per se. Plenty of potential there, so I'm not going to go. And obviously, Dylan Harper is Dylan Harper. And I still think that there's a problem, not a problem, but
something to figure out.
Yeah, with the guards, with him, Fox, and Castle. I still really like Stephon Castle. I know some people aren't necessarily in love with him, but I still really like Stephon Castle. So, they have something to figure out there. I think that also kind of affects this, that the situation Dylan Harper is going into is not a bad one, but it's a unique one that they're going to have to figure out. So I get an A minus for me. The talent is great, but the situation is interesting.
That's where I'd go to. I'd go A minus because situation's weird, but you can't not take Dylan Harper there, but you need to figure it out anyway. So A minus.
Toronto Raptors up next. They take Colin Murray Boyles and Elijah Martin. Would you say, like, in general, is like a C grade would be like average, right?
I'm going C is like, I don't hate it, but I'm not going to give you any praise for it. Like, but B is I would like, oh, okay, I like it. I see the vision. C is I'm just like, I don't know.
That's my take with this draft. It's just like, it's really average. And they have 2 guys who can probably contribute pretty quick. Like Elijah Martin is definitely one of the more ready to go veteran guards in this draft class, and there's probably a world where he can get some minutes right away. Then Murray Boyles too. I just like projecting any draft prospect to fit into this roster right now is hard because they have such a weird team. So I don't know where he fits exactly right now, but again, I don't hate either of these players. So I'm not going to, go on a tangent about how I think this is a bad draft, but it just doesn't really move me all that much.
Well, one, they fired Messiah, which I think is a little bit more warranted than people give credit for it. I kind of think he deserved to be on his way out. But they're following it up with just making even stupider moves than he was making. We're like locking in this core of like guys who are in the range of like top 35 to 65 players in the NBA, no one above or below. Like, I'm not sure. I have no idea like what's going on, but I do know like what they want to be next season, and that they want to be a team that kind of hounds the ball and gets out and kind of overwhelms people with their size, and then just hope the offense figures it out. Which sounds a lot like day one Colin Murray Boyles, I think, and also a lot like Elijah Martin. So they drafted guys who certainly fit whatever scheme they have going on. I don't really agree with the scheme they have, but they did it. I will say I think they got good value for Colin Murray Boyles. I kind of moved him up my board last second within the days before the draft up to 11. I really like him, but I think he's kind of capped here. I don't think he's going to play very much to what he should be. I think he could have been like, man, like I know they went Malawak and that was the right pick, but like I think Murray Boyles like could have started in Phoenix. Like I think he could have started in Utah. I think he would have been a good pick for Brooklyn, but I don't know. It's a little disappointing to see him go there because I don't really see the way he plays with Scotty Barnes there. I think he's locked into a bench role.
Yeah, no disagreement to me. It's another odd situation, but
yeah.
They're a team. They have talent, but it's like, what do you do with it? It's you have pieces, but are they the right ones?
Someone in the East has to be good next year. I think that's their mindset. They're just like, oh fuck it, maybe it'll be us.
Yeah. So one of the more interesting drafts coming up next with the Utah Jazz. They take Ace Bailey, Walter Clayton, and then John Tonje, 5-game Mizzou legend. Also, he grew up like 20 minutes from me, and I saw him play in high school multiple times. So shout out to, also went to the same high school that Colin went to. This is another one where I don't know. I don't know how to grade this one at all, honestly. And you look at the moves that they've made afterward. They get rid of Jordan Clarkson and Colin Sexton, so more time for Walter Clayton and not really Ace Bailey, but I mean, I guess kind of Ace Bailey. They're still, I mean, I hesitate to say they're like completely directionless because there's a clear and obvious youth movement going on here. So I don't know. Part of me wants to say like a C, but part of me also wants to say like a B because we don't love Ace, but the situation is like he might not get a better one. And they're not trying to win right now, so there's room for him to be shit but grow. So I don't know. Maybe I'll give it a B-, maybe meet in the middle there, but I don't really know how to give this one a grade.
I see what you mean with the directional stuff because I think in terms of like what they still don't have an identity, but they're starting to take swings on like, we need someone who's going to be a long-term scorer for us. And so they took 3 swings on that, on the off chance that John Tonje becomes that.
I don't think he's very good.
No, I'm kidding, basically. Like, he's not good.
No.
But if like Ace Bailey or Walter Clayton can become like a long-term scorer for them, I think that's the vision. So they're taking swings. So I'd give them some credit for that. Drafting a guy who doesn't want to be there is also a little weird, though. That's never a situation you want to be in. Hopefully this is all forgotten about by like December. But yeah. I think I'll give him. I also just don't think Ace Bailey is that good. But if there was a team to take a shot on him, it was like a Utah or a Brooklyn, and that's where he went. So good stuff. I'll give him a B. They were fine.
I mean, like, did you ever have a player comp for Ace Bailey?
Yeah. It was like, I think he's kind of a 2023 Mikal Bridges offense where it's like he kind of takes some bad shots, but like they go in for some reason.
Yeah.
And then like defense is kind of like he could be Mikal-esh. He's like not there at all right now, but like when he wants to be, he is. Like randomly he'll just like play really good defense sometimes for like 3 minutes, and then he's like, I'm good, guys. Appreciate it. See you later. So like I think he's got 2 outcomes, right? One is that he ends up like how Mikal Bridges was on the Nets. He ends up like that for his entire career. Or how Mikal Bridges is on the Knicks and the Suns. He can be that. Yeah. He's got 2 choices. He's Mikal Bridges another way.
There's certainly an archetype for what he does as a scorer. and it revolves around, in my opinion, yeah, but like the MPJ role and the Brandon Miller role, and that might just allow him to flourish in Utah, but it's just like I've said this, and I kind of made this argument for Trey Johnson, who we're about to talk about for the last team. Like, it's such a gamble, like rolling on a player who lives and dies by like streaky efficiency. So
can Ace even be like a high volume, like catch and shoot 3 guy? I kind of am not totally sold on that.
I'm not sold on that either, because he doesn't really seem like he takes many of them.
Tween has he splash all day.
Absolutely. Fade away over 4 players. Last team is the Washington Wizards. They end up with Trey Johnson, Will Riley, and Jameer Watkins. I thought I liked this. I don't know if I love Will Riley, and I don't love Jameer Watkins, but Trey Johnson is the right player, though. So, again, kind of teetering on the B- C+ side of things, but since I feel like I was pretty harsh in the beginning of this, I'm going to give him a B- just because Trey Johnson is good. And I don't think Will Riley is fine, but obviously there's a ceiling there, and I think he's he could do more than one thing, and there is like a realm where he does have some play now ability, and he can do more than just score. So I don't hate Will Riley. I think Jameer Watkins is not that good, but I'll give him a B- just out of the sake of generosity.
I think it might be a little higher in Trey Johnson than you, so I'll go like B+. I think Trey Johnson's really good. I think like ideally now, like Trey Johnson is probably like a number 2 scoring option on like a really good team.
Where did you have Trey on your board?
I had Trey at 7.
Okay, I am at 6. So
okay.
Don't get it twisted.
Then you were higher on him. But I was probably also higher on Will Riley than you, which makes a difference too.
Yeah, I had him at 30.
Yeah, I had 18. So
okay.
I like Will Riley. He fits what they've got going on with like the positionally tall and athletic thing.
Yeah.
I mean, like streaky jumper, but like there is one there sometimes, and he could do it. So they have also like done a pretty good job in the last year going from like hopeless Brad Beal, like no man's land, to like, okay, we have a direction and like actually have some stuff going on. So I think pretty good. They drafted a role player in Riley and a potential star in Trey.
Yeah,
I like it.
Absolutely. And before we end this, Will Riley, the Wizards might be like one of my favorite teams heading in to next year. I mean, there are so many fun players on this team. Bub, AJ Johnson, Keshawn George, Koulibaly. You add Trey Johnson to Will Riley to that mix. You add Dylan Jones now. Like Tristan Vucevic was kind of fun at the end of the season.
True.
I mean, Alex Sarr. A lot of fun players on that team. I don't know how good they're going to be. They're young, but that like is one of the highest raw potential teams in the NBA. They're going to be a blast.
Dude, don't forget Bub Carrington, man.
Oh, sorry. Yes, my bad. I like Bub Carrington.
Dude,
I do like Bub Carrington.
Yeah, Austin Thomas, when he had this take on our pod last year where it was like, he said like Modest had like the highest % chance to make All-NBA from last class, and like low-key he might have been right about that. But like I made the case for Bub. I think Bub is so good. Like I think Bub is like kind of sneakily like the guy on this team right now.
Yeah,
I think he's good. I like him and Trey. I think that's a really fun backcourt.
Yeah, I agree. And again, their talent goes down the board. And then I'm looking at their roster. It still says they have like Middleton and Smart and Brogdon. I don't know.
No Brogdon.
No Brogdon.
Yeah.
Okay. So those are good veterans as well. So plenty of fun stuff there. Jesus. Hour 40 minutes. No one
wants to hear us talk, bro.
Nobody wants to hear us talk. But if you did, thank you. We'll be back with another episode talking about some more bullshit next week.